Welcome to Show Me Something Wrong,
where each episode one of us chooses a movie to watch that the other hasn't seen. The movie is often obscure, usually odd, and always wrong.
I'm Guy.
I'm Dave.
Good to meet you.
Today I've chosen the movie, and it's Limbo from 1999, directed by Tina Krause, who is on this episode.
Hey!
Alright, how you feeling there, Guy? You're looking a bit worse for wear?
I had a rough night last night, I'm not going to lie. And I woke up and watched Limbo, so I'm feeling pretty fucking shattered.
That's a fun film to watch with a hangover, I think.
It's not. It made me question a lot of life decisions, where I'm going, once I've kicked it.
I'm sure Tina Krause would be happy to hear that. So yes, I've interviewed Tina for this episode. She's not here live. She's not in the room with us.
I wish she was, though.
That would be great. Yeah, she'd pep us up for sure.
I'd be awake.
She was awesome to talk to. I was quite nervous interviewing her, but and I wasn't really sure how long we'd be talking for. But we ended up speaking for like 2.5 hours, maybe.
That's quite a long time.
Yeah. And it was very early in the morning because of the time difference, because she was in New York. But yeah, it was so much fun speaking to her. So
awesome.
I'm sure she'll be listening to this episode. So thanks again, Tina, for your help.
Thank you, Tina.
All right. So maybe to begin with, I wanted to talk about how I came across this film. So back in 2020, one of the Vinegar Syndrome sales.
Oh, God love them.
I know, they like ruin my wallet twice a year. So I always just sort of look through their stuff and basically buy anything that I think looks interesting. And one of their partner labels had put out Limbo. So Bleeding Skull, along with AGFA, American Genre Film Archive, had put this out on Blu-ray. And it has a fucking sick Blu-ray cover.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, have you got it?
I just put it away. I'll show it to you later.
Yeah, show it to me later.
It's this really cool, like, pink cover with Tina and her sister Jessica Krause on the cover, and I'm like, that looks really cool. I don't know what the hell it is, but I'll buy it. So I bought it.
Were you aware of Tina Krause before watching this? Okay,
not at all. So yeah, I didn't know her at all. And, it sat on my shelf for literally a year, just unwatched. And then finally one day I'm like, this film, the running time's like 50 minutes, so I'll put this on. This will be a nice, easy watch.
And you were soon mistaken.
Yeah, absolutely mistaken. It completely, fucked with my head quite intensely. And it was not what I was expecting for like a shot on video late 90s horror film. It's something very different, very creative, and kind of unlike anything I've seen in the genre. And I think I saw it around the same time do you remember when Cat Sick Blues screened in Tokyo and we went up for that screening? Yeah. So I watched it around the same time as that, and it actually kind of changed this film, Limbo, and that screening of Cat Sick Blues changed how I was approaching the new film that I'm making.
Wow.
Because like watching Limbo, I'm like, this is fucking so ambitious and crazy. And then watching my own film, Cat Sick Blues, like this, like whether you like it or dislike it, it's like a film that only I could have made. And Limbo is a film that only Tina Krause could have made. So whatever I do next has to be as like insane as this. So it had a very, very big effect on me at the time.
Nice.
And then since watching this, I've found out more about Tina Krause. So did you know who she was before watching this?
It's one of those names that I feel like I've heard of. Yeah. But upon like looking her up, I don't think I've seen anything that she's been in. But I had a little browse and saw that she's been in some Misty Monday stuff, and I think she's is she a kind of scream queen?
Yes.
Be trashy. Yes, okay, awesome. Right.
Yeah. So yeah, she's much better known as an actress, and this is the only feature film at this point that she's directed.
Right.
But yeah, she's been in well over 100 films, and she is, probably best known as being one of the actresses in the W.A.V.E. production films.
Right. Okay.
Do you remember W.A.V.E.?
So I didn't know about W.A.V.E, and you told me about W.A.V.E Productions when we went down to Tokyo for that screening.
Right.
I remember you talking, and I was like, well, this sounds interesting. And we were in the Shinjuku Video Market, and they had the documentary based on W.A.V.E Productions there. But I didn't know about W.A.V.E until you told me on that fateful trip, which changed your whole outlook on life.
So yeah, it is quite a fascinating story, W.A.V.E Productions. And maybe to kick off her involvement with that, I thought I'd share with you, or get Tina to share with you, her story of how she got involved with W.A.V.E Productions, because it's quite a fucking hilarious story. Okay.
I laugh when I say this because I'm like, for every ex-boyfriend, I elevate in my career. I don't know why. All right. So the start of my career actually started because of an ex-boyfriend, if you really want the truth. He had bought tickets for the both of us to go to a convention. I had never, ever, ever been to a convention. I was like 20, I think. 19, 20? I don't know, somewhere in there, right? I had never been to a convention in my entire life, and especially for horror. However, I've watched probably more horror movies than most people at the convention. Go figure. The only reason why I went, he broke up with me and just was like, he was a total dick, whatever. He broke up with me when I had the tickets. So I was like, I ain't giving you these tickets back. Fuck that. Right. And my sister really wanted a Jason mask. Right. And she also wanted the Halloween one. Right. So I was like, you know what? I have 2 tickets. I want to take my sister with me. Fuck it. And I did. And she got what she wanted. Right. But that convention was actually held in Fairleigh Dickinson, right over there in Fairleigh Dickinson. It was one of the first Chiller conventions. It was around that time when Chiller was just starting to do their stuff. So when they were doing it, they started off in that school, that convention over there. And that is the first time that I ever met anybody from W.A.V.E. I met Gary, Sal, and Avon Warren. They approached me, and they had asked me if I ever acted before. He approached me right out of the blue. And I looked at him and I was hesitant to answer. And then I just said, all right, I'm just going to give my best answer. I was like, no, but if you want me to, let's test it. You want me to tell you I'm an actress? I will. So I was just joking, but a little bit, but kind of serious, maybe, right? I wasn't sure. I was kind of hoping for something, anybody who wouldn't, right? So I did not expect what happened next. Basically what happened was they said, great, we're going to shoot something right outside the school, right in the yard area, and you're going to get killed. You're going to get choked out or whatever, right? And don't worry, it's not going to be by yourself. There'll be people there around and shit like that, whatever. But it's the best area to do it. We just need a segment for whatever they were shooting. And I had no idea, right? So I did the shoot. I shit you not, probably an hour later, after I did the shoot, and it was real fast, right? An hour later, I hear people looking at me and pointing to a large screen. And then my sister's like, why is everybody looking at you? And then she looks up at the screen, and I'm not even paying attention. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, all right, whatever, right? Because I had just done something that I was like, what the hell did I just do, right? So I look up, and I'm like, holy shit, that's me. I was like, oh my God. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wait, what? And it was on one of those really big screens. So what they did was they shot the segment and they put it over their booth, and they had a large screen, and it was playing on it. And I'm just sitting there going, oh my God, this is for real. This isn't a joke. And ever since then, I started working with them.
So yeah, basically went to a convention, got approached, filmed the scene of her getting strangled to death.
Awesome.
And then an hour later, it was getting projected at the convention.
Insane. So they literally popped out of the convention just for a quick film shoot, choked got out in the car park, and it was playing at the convention an hour later. That's a pretty fast turnaround.
It's very fucking fast.
Jesus.
And a little bonus fact of why they actually approached Tina. So it was because she had really, really long hair at the time. And they had a guy who wanted a film made who had a fetish for people with long hair. Mm-hmm. So that kind of brings us to like, what is W.A.V.E?
Okay.
And what is this fetish thing? Like, why is a guy with a long hair fetish like requesting to have a film of Tina Krause getting strangled? Yeah, W.A.V.E is basically this video production company that came up with this business model where its viewers or its fans would write in and essentially pay to have their ideas put into a film. Of course, most of those ideas ended up just being very, very specific and kind of fucking crazy fetishes. So their videos would be like, women getting strangled, foot fetishes, women getting blown up, pies getting thrown in people's faces, another fetish. One of the films is a witch boiling a woman in a bowl of vegetables. A woman getting barbecued, like just madness, right?
So was W.A.V.E, was it primarily horror? Or did it kind of like blur between horror and fetish? Was there anything that wasn't fetishistic or horror based?
I mean, I guess it's like, it's hard to draw. It's basically all fetish stuff, but it ultimately played out like horror films.
Right.
In the really good documentary that you mentioned before, so Mail Order Murder, you can see it on Tubi.
Oh, your favorite.
Yeah, I love Tubi. That's directed or co-directed by Bill Hellfire, who made Duck, the Carbine High Massacre.
Your favorite.
Yeah. And he's getting interviewed in his own documentary as well, and he describes W.A.V.E production films as alien pornography, which is really what it feels like when you watch them. Yeah, just like watching like strangers' fantasies play out on film. And very, very specific fantasies.
Interesting. So when they, I guess you could say scouted Tina for this strangulation video, was this quite early on in the W.A.V.E production's history, or?
I think it was like at least a few years into it.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly when, but I think they've been around for a while. But she ended up becoming one of their most popular actresses, and
gotta love that long hair.
Yeah. And just did so many crazy things with them. And when we were talking, she said she's planning to write a book about her experiences, which awesome. I really hope she does. Great. I would buy that day one that it comes out.
I don't know if you have the answer to this, but the people who were writing in and requesting these videos, could they choose their victim?
I think so, yeah. So they'd write it and they'd be like, I want to see Tina Krause, for example, getting cooked.
So I was supposed to be eaten by a bunch of cannibals, right? God, Gary. Okay. So what does he do? He's like, I've got to figure out how we're going to put you on a spigot and how we're going to make fire happen. And I was like, wait a minute. Whoa, hold on. You are not putting me on a spigot, and there is going to be no fire because I don't know. So he looks at me and he starts laughing. He's like, of course we're not going to do. We don't have pyrotechs and things like that. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but we will do it. Right. So he goes, no, it's what we'll do. So he has his pole. So I'm like, my hands and feet are on the pole like that. Right. And they tie my hands and feet up like this. And then they turkey basted me with like oil because, I have to cook. And then I was like, what is going to be the fire? I'm like, you cannot, I know you're not going to try to do like special effects for fire because I've seen your special effects and that's ridiculous. Because you know what it's going to be, like a hand-drawn flame. All right. So no, it's not what he did. He did one better. Are you ready for this? He put a fucking heater underneath. You know the ones that just light up red? I'm sorry. See, this is why I have to write a book. No one would fucking believe me. So he's like, you gotta pretend like you're being cooked. So I'm like, well, I would scream wildly. He's like, do that. I'm like, okay. So I start doing that. What happens? Somebody called the cops. Someone called the cops. I guess they thought someone was being murdered. And they came to the studio. They actually came to the studio. And Gary had to try to explain to the cop that we're shooting a movie. So he was like, I have to see to make sure that's actually what's going on, which of course naturally he does. So he does. And Gary's like, hold on 1 second. So he throws a blanket over me. Now the blanket goes over the pole, right? So you can't see me. The cop's like, I have to see. So he pulls the blanket back a little bit to show my face, and I'm like, hi. My hands are up here. I'm like, hey, right? So he's like, are you all right? I'm like, no, we're fine. We're shooting a movie. Like, I was totally like, he's like, oh, can I stay and watch? And Gary's like, no, you cannot stay and watch.
Yeah, so that's a pretty amazing story. So the Gary that she's talking about is Gary Whitson, who's the guy that runs W.A.V.E. Productions.
Right.
And when you watch that documentary, he's just such a like unassuming guy. Like he's got kind of gentle uncle vibes.
But that's the most dangerous one.
Yeah.
It sounds like though she never really knew what was going to happen until she was there.
Yeah.
That's quite hilarious.
I think of all the fetishes that I found the most fascinating. So yeah, strangling, even someone getting cooked, sure, okay. But one of the most common ones that they had to do so many scenes based around this fetish was drowning in quicksand.
Wow, drowning in quicksand.
You know what the quicksand is, right? He comes out with a giant garbage bag, like one of those huge, right? And he's like, we gotta dig. I'm like, dig? He's like, yeah, digging a hole, right? I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, yeah, we're gonna put the garbage bag in the ground, fill it up with water. Okay. I'm like, I'm like, what are you going to do? Buy sand and throw it in? I mean, whatever. I mean, whatever works, right? No. The dirt that he dug up from the ground in the swamp area where we do the quicksand, quicksand scenes, right? He took that dirt that he just dug up and threw it in the water, in the bag that we have to swim. There's every living creature, including leeches, in there. I never got a leech on me, but my fellow actress did. Oh, yeah. And then when I found out, I'm like, we're not doing any more quicksand.
I wonder where that comes from, because when I was younger, I always had a fear of drowning in quicksand. Not that I ever came into any contact with quicksand.
Right.
But it was always, I don't know, it kind of always appeared in like child-friendly horror shows and stuff. Yeah. Like it was almost kind of like this danger that was always lurking if you went to the beach or whatever. Yeah. And for some reason, drowning in quicksand was always like a fear I had as a kid. So I wonder if that's where people's fetishes come from.
You know what? I reckon that you are spot on with that.
Yeah.
Like thinking about it, so many like childhood, like, kid-friendly films feature quicksand.
Yeah.
And so obviously, all these dudes would have watched that as a kid. Yeah. And that's where your fetishes come from, right?
I can't quite get the connection of the fear and the fetish, but there must be something in there.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing I really enjoyed that she talked about was some of the outfits that she had to wear in these fetish horror kind of things.
I guess you could choose the outfit as well, the person riding in, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And let me tell you the outfits now that we're on it, okay? So I think it's Rana, Queen of the Jungle. I play a Nazi. Sure. Tina Krause, a Nazi. Who would have guessed? Right? And Pam plays Rana, Queen of the Jungle, and she's got to wear this leopard, like, makeshift outfit. Dude, this was too funny. My outfit is even better. It's even better. It's a tan, like, light tan t-shirt with panties and like knee-high, like the knee-high white stockings right up to like where you're a little bit past your knee, and a belt and a Nazi thing on my arm. And I'm supposed to fight in this. I'm supposed to fight in it. No. I actually have to fight in it, like throw punches, kicks, everything. I am not shitting. We have a fucking fight scene. I was like, this is ridiculous. Oh, and by the way, you can't wear a bra with the t-shirt. That was the one thing that was like a definite no. No bras, none. So when we're running, if you ever watch it and look, it's out there. I don't care. I laugh at it. I have to laugh. It makes me laugh today. I caught the scene. I'm running. No bra. I'm not exactly flat. I'm running. I'm going that way. My tits are going that way. They're like on their own. They're running, and I'm running. They were like, boop, 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 boop. I was like, oh, where are you going? Come back. We're going this way.
Man, she's a fucking riot.
Oh man, so much fun to talk to. But yeah, like every question I asked, she had like such an awesome long answer with all these hilarious stories. But
I've
really
never seen a WAVE production, but they sound quite the experience.
It is quite the experience. I would really recommend watching that documentary because you can see clips from all of these things that Tina's talking about, and she's in the documentary as well.
Oh yeah,
it's really funny in the documentary. So yeah, that's sort of her background in film. So that's what people, most people know her for, is this connection with WAVE. But she's in a lot of other stuff as well, especially in the horror genre. And her love of horror actually came from her childhood, so pre-WAVE times.
The thing of it is, my parents love horror, right? My mother was really big into Halloween, and every year she would do the same damn thing, make a bowl of popcorn, ask one of us to watch it with her because she's too damn scared, even though she saw the thing 1,000 times. My dad is really big into gore. So he used to get all the Fangora magazines when I was little, and he used to sneak them to me, and I used to bring them to school. And I went to a Catholic school when I was a kid. I would bring those magazines in the school because I was so damn bored with school that while they were teaching whatever subject it was, see, this is what I mean. I didn't even know what they were teaching. I was like, whatever. I was opening up Fangora magazine, and I was looking through all the gore and stuff. I would have to say, like, The Thing was like a really Videodrome. Those types of, I love those movies, and they're great. Like, The Thing is sick. Like, there's no way John Carpenter's The Thing isn't sick. I mean, he remade a great movie and made it even greater. Like, to me, anyway. Very, very, very insane. I couldn't sleep at night. I had insomnia. So when I was a kid, so I would constantly be up. I had bad nightmares all the time. So I tried not to go to sleep. And even when I wanted to go to sleep, I couldn't. I still have that problem today. A little bit. So it was like that a lot. So in order to keep me quiet, I guess, or not complaining or whatever, I don't know, he would put on horror movies on HBO. Remember when HBO used to have a pamphlet, like the TV guide? You can see what time whatever movie was coming on. And it would always be super late. So it would be like the worst of the movies, Scanners, shit that you do not show a kid. So this is my dad's fault.
Brilliant. Like Cronenberg and John Carpenter is responsible for a lot of people's entry into horror.
For sure. I just love the idea of her dad being into gore.
Yeah.
Well, can you imagine if one of your parents was a gore hound?
Yeah. And why would they have chosen to send her to a Christian school as well?
Sure.
Yeah. I love horror movies and gore and stuff. Go to this Christian school and they'll teach you about Jesus.
You're a massive Thing fan as well, right?
Oh,
I mean, who isn't really?
Who doesn't love The Thing? Yeah, me and Tina Krause, we love The Thing. I had a similar experience. Not my dad, but my friend who lived in the house opposite me. He's a couple of years younger than me, but we kind of grew up together. And when we were like 10, his dad was like, "Hey kids, watch this," and just showed us the dog scene. Only the dog scene.
Oh my god.
And we were just like, "Oh my god, what the fuck is this?"
Jesus.
And then he showed us that. He was like, "Yeah, it's pretty great, huh? But I can't show you the rest because it's too graphic."
But he showed you that scene.
And that was probably the most graphic scene. And it became this kind of tradition that every Halloween we would watch The Thing. After like a couple of years of us begging him to show us the rest of the film, it's go on then, you little shits. And we finally watched it. Yeah, but yeah, The Thing is a great is a great entry.
Yeah.
Responsible for a lot of kids' trauma.
Do you think, so is that the film that got you into horror films, do you think?
Ooh, couldn't tell you. I mean, 10 is pretty young, so probably, yeah. It wouldn't have been the thing that got me into horror, because I remember getting some, like, old picture books and things, which completely traumatized me when I was younger than that. But I remember that being a big thing that was shown to me at too young of an age, which had massive
The Thing
impact.
was a big thing.
The Thing was a big thing.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day, because a friend of mine asked me, like, why do you like horror? Like, what got you into it? And I was sort of struggling to go back and think of why. It's like I loved Gremlins and stuff growing up. But I think I can trace it to when I was probably around that age too, 10, I went to Universal Studios in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
And they had this, like, fucking crazy show where it was like how they do horror effects.
Oh, awesome.
And it was for kids, but they were showing like scenes from The Exorcist where they're like head spinning around and vomit flying out and like violent gunshot squibs sort of stuff. And I remember just as a kid being like, this is the fucking best thing I've ever seen in my life. And so maybe it was that got me into it. But isn't that nuts that they showed that to kids? Like, you're allowed to come in for this horror, how we do horror. That was at
Universal
effects.
Studios?
Yeah, Universal Studios. Yeah, I remember it really well, and it just had a huge impact on me. So it must have been that got me into it.
Good old USJ.
They might have even shown some scenes from The Thing. Possibly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so Tina has these kind of, two parts to her past where she's really into horror as a kid, and then she was involved with W.A.V.E. productions. But W.A.V.E. films are very different from what she's made with Limbo. Totally different, completely different kind of thing. And she actually came to make this film out of frustrations of where the genre was in the 90s.
Right.
So she was really unimpressed with horror. I think especially horror of this kind of budget at that time.
So at the time, I was watching a lot of directors, and I was in a lot of horror movies and stuff like that. And I got really, you got to remember, my dad schooled me on horror, and I saw a lot and really driven to do a lot of things. Okay. So when I got into this, I didn't know what this, right. I thought it'll all sink into doing all these like really crazy, like scary movies and stuff, and it turned out to be more of a fetishy damsel in distress thing, which I didn't understand, even though that opened the doors for a lot of other things, believe it or not. Like everybody told me, like, oh no, you're gonna get typecast, you're never gonna be taken serious. That's kind of true, but not 100%. I think that just is true for people who want to not take the extra step and, go forth and be like, all right, so what? I did this. So big shit. You know what I mean? But this is what I do. There's always going to be people that are going to say awful things. That's just the name of the game. Okay. And you just have to understand that and deal with it. Right. So I was taking a good look at the industry, and I didn't like where things were going. I was like, I'm not doing this. So somebody had told me, made it real clear to me, doesn't matter what you do, sex sells. I said, excuse me? And he said, yeah, no matter what you do, sex sells. So if you don't have sex in your film, it isn't going to go anywhere. And I went, I said, what are you trying to make a movie about? Just a question. Because if you're trying to make a porn, then you're absolutely right. But if you're trying to make a horror, you're absolutely fucking wrong. I'm like, I could show you a lot of horror films that do not have sex scenes in them, and they're great. So I said, I think the reason why you have these over-the-top sex scenes, love scenes, things like that, is because your story sucks. You don't know how to put it together, so in order to keep an audience, you got to show tits and ass, and there's got to be some action in there or whatever, or a lot of action. So basically, you just made your horror film a jerk-off film, as far as I'm concerned. All right? And I don't do that. I'm like, in fact, I had challenged the person, and this is before Limbo came out. This is when I was writing it and getting ready to direct it. I literally challenged the person, and I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I was like, what's going to happen is I'm going to make a film, okay, that's strictly horror. The only love scene in it won't even have nudity. And I guarantee you, I will successfully make a horror film. And that's all I'm saying. And I was like, you could tell me that sex sells, but when you watch my film, that is I bet you don't even remember the scene. So yeah, I got a little discouraged with it and decided to go against everybody's everything. And I was like, yeah, okay. So this is what everybody's doing. I'm going the opposite way. See you later. And I did. Do it again.
Do it again. It's interesting that she has such kind of opposing thoughts to what she kind of, not necessarily came from, but where she kind of started off her her acting career, at least. So I don't know the exact timeline of her and W.A.V.E. and Limbo, but when she went on to make Limbo, was that her then done with W.A.V.E? Or?
No, she still works with them now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she still does stuff with them now.
So, I mean, she had this, like, real strong, passionate opinion of, like, not having any sex or nudity in her films, yet simultaneously she was making these bizarre fetish horror films that solely cater for that audience.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's quite hilarious.
But I think that's sort of, that's probably what pushed her to do it, right? Like having to, act in that as her job essentially all the time. And she wanted to make something that was far away from that. Yeah.
But when you say, like, that was her job kind of thing, it makes it sound like she didn't have a blast doing it, but it sounds like she kind of loves doing them both, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Hearing her talk about her W.A.V.E. production sounds like she had an absolute great time doing them.
Yeah, definitely. So she sort of mentioned there as well that she was, wanting to make something very different, pushing back against what was happening in the genre. And Limbo actually came from a really crazy experience that she had.
Right.
So, Limbo is not a linear film.
No. I struggle to make any notes.
It's very, it's pushed by its visuals. The narrative jumps around in time, and it's very nightmarish as well. And the imagery and the story of this film came from an accidental drug trip that she had.
An accidental drug trip. Yeah. Interesting.
So where we shot was where I was living. And I had a neighbor upstairs, and he was helping me with doing. He was my AD. Okay. I had gone upstairs. We were trying to get ideas and work things out. He went into the bathroom. Now he was he's a hippie, but he's not really a hippie. I don't know how to put it, right? He would always go to these rainbow gatherings, the hippie gatherings and stuff like that. And it's like a drug and happy fest or whatever. I don't know. I've never went to one. I just was told. He had a candy dish, okay, on his table. He went to the bathroom. While he was in the bathroom, I saw something that looked like, like when you get the Valentine's Day, chocolates, and there's one chocolate that's wrapped in foil and it's in the shape of a heart. Okay. So but it was a green foil, and that should have been the first fucking indication. Don't eat it. But I did, because I love chocolate, and I was like, and I was bored waiting for him. I'm like, Jesus Christ. So I was like, boop. I'm chewing it, and I'm like, this is awful. But I didn't know where to spit it out, because I didn't see the garbage can. I didn't know where, and I was just like, you know what, just fucking swallow it and deal with it later, right? So I did. And when he came out, I made it a point to tell him, oh my God, I was like, Joe, if you got candy out for guests, make sure the shit ain't stale. And he was like, what? And I was like, if you have candies, especially chocolates, make sure the shit is fresh. I just ate a chocolate, it was stale as fuck. It tasted like cardboard. And he went, what chocolate? And I said, the green foil heart, right there. I put the fucking foil right there so you knew. right? He grabs it and he goes, "Oh my God." He's like, "All right." He's like, "Oh shit, Tina." He's like, "This would be easy to explain, but you don't do drugs." And I was like, "Oh, what the fuck?" He's like, "Oh man, you don't even know what was in there." I'm like, "Wait, what?" He's like, "I got it from a rainbow gathering. I should have told you." I'm like, "You don't put that out you don't put that out in the presence of anybody, man." So he tried to explain to me that he was going to be my spiritual guide that night. This trip lasted for 3 fucking days. 3 days. I didn't know. I really thought I wasn't going to come back. I'm like, I'm so screwed. I'm so screwed. What if I went to work? I'm not even joking. So like I had tripped for 3 days. I'm at work. I started sweating. I'm starting to see like everything's fine. And then all of a sudden the fucking letters are falling off the screen. I'm typing the same thing and I'm like hitting my computer. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this? So I'm like, all right, I went to the bathroom, splash my face, come back out. It's the same word all over my screen. Like, I was like, oh no. And my boss was standing behind me. He saw the whole thing go down. So he was like, maybe you should take the rest of the day off. Feeling all right? I was like, I am not feeling good at all. I'm really, really I feel terrible. He's like, go home for the day and just come back on Monday. I was like, sweet. Right? And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So yes. I saw everything. And basically that's pretty much what Limbo was.
That's like my worst nightmare.
Same.
Accidental drug trip.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. It's fine if you're up for it, but when you get if you take it unknowingly,
awful.
Or if someone is a dick enough to put something in someone else's drink, and you are the receiving end of that, that's just got to be the worst thing ever.
Horrendous. Yeah. And I would do the same thing if there was a chocolate just sitting there. I'd be like, yeah, I'll
not anymore though.
Yeah.
You've heard how dangerous that can be.
It's a good warning.
Yeah, Christ. This should be one of those like adverts that they play on TV.
Yeah,
like,
an after school
it
special.
Could happen to you.
But yeah, so that's like basically the inspiration.
Interesting.
For the film. Yeah.
When you said that she went to was it Christian school or Catholic school? Catholic school. Because there's a lot of kind of religious themed imagery in it, I was wondering if there was some kind of inspiration or like she took something away from that.
Sure. We didn't talk about that, but I think you're probably right. I'm sure there must be, and probably some of the images that she saw were perhaps inspired by that time in Catholic school. Some of the stuff that she saw is really disturbing. Oh. Do you want to hear about a few of the visions she saw?
Hells yeah.
I could not actually create exactly what I saw, but I could get you close. I can get you close. You know, when the girl's peeling her face off and you see all that, like she's like sitting there ripping her face off and stuff like that. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that like in 1,000 faces behind me in a wall of blood, ripping their fucking faces off. Like, it was the weirdest thing, and like abortions, like all on the bottom. And I was sitting literally like, you know, when they take the fetus out and it's like, anyway, the whole bottom of all these people was just this layer. I was in a circular thing sitting on this platform and I saw all of these abortions like all around me, but they were like moving, like they were pulsating. It was crazy. And then like, right above them were all these faces just ripping their skins off. I can't even. It was horrendous. It's horrendous.
Right. Can you imagine seeing that for 3 fucking days?
Yeah, absolutely awful.
Yeah. Christ.
Horrendous.
Whoa, but great that she managed to take that experience and turn it into something.
Yeah. She did mention, like, yeah, as she said in that, there was limitations to what she could create with a low budget. She talked a lot about something she wanted to do but couldn't quite achieve, which was at the ending of the film, she wanted to have a scene where it was like this room made of skin. And there was a woman in the middle, like, playing a violin, but then you realize she's, like, playing the veins that are, like, sticking out of her arms, like, in this skin room as she's, like, sinking into this skin. Would have been amazing. But yeah, so that is the backstory to how this film came about.
Awesome. That's a pretty great backstory.
Yeah. So, should we get into the actual film?
I feel like we should.
Yes. All right. We start out with... And I'm going to mention the logo of this film because it says Fracture Films, right? That's her production company. And the X-ray of that is an actual broken bone that she has.
Right.
I think she broke her hand making the film or something.
Really?
Yeah, I think they mentioned that in the commentary. But yeah, that's a real X-ray.
Good stuff. Love it.
And then we need to get into the actual... like narrative of this film, which is very hard to unpack.
So as you said, this is not a linear film. This plays out like a nightmare fever dream.
Yes.
So difficult to talk about kind of coherently.
Yeah. We can't go into too many details, but we can just give a basic overview of what we're seeing on screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we start off, we've got two people, a man and a woman, running through the dark. It's very dark. It's quite hard to tell what's going on. There's some piano music playing and the titles are appearing over this. And all through this, like, these cars are, like, just driving through really aggressively. And the camera's just pushing in on the cars, like, really intensely. Very hard to tell what's going on, but it's quite intense, like, this opening. Yeah. The two people, the woman and the man, are separated. And the camera tracks in to the woman from behind. She turns around, screams, and then we get the Limbo title. Can't really tell you too much of how that connects to anything, but we're already just getting this sort of nightmarish vibe going on. Then we cut into a static TV and we pull out, we're in a bar location. Yeah.
That's kind of great. This is kind of exactly what I would imagine one of those like road stop kind of bars in America to look like.
Yeah.
Kind of like a biker bar / family restaurant.
Well, actually, it was two locations because she had the bar for some of it and then couldn't get the location again. So she filmed half of it in her dad's speakeasy. She shot the rest of it in and kind of matched it together. So that's perhaps why it has the two kind of vibes to it.
Because I was like, oh, this is like a typical like biker bar kind of thing. You know, the people playing pool, etc., music going on. And then they were like sitting down at these tables at like a family restaurant. I was like, wait, so this is like a biker bar / family restaurant? That makes so much more sense now. That was quite disorientating.
Yeah, so it's the way this is shot is really strange as well. Like it's really like the shots are like very fluid, just sort of like moving around the space. The sound's really weird. It's just everyone's just muttering. Yeah. It's kind of intense.
I like the way it was shot. Everything was very wide. It's almost like fisheye, and it's like all the corners were like bowing out.
I love that. Yeah. And
very dreamlike.
The waitress working in this place is played by Tina Krause.
Right. The dark-haired girl.
Yeah, so that's Tina Krause, who's kind of this, how would you describe her? Like, kind of permanently pissed off waitress.
Kind of, yeah.
Begrudgingly bringing stuff out to the shitty customers. As
I'm sure anyone who would work in that kind of place, you'd expect them to be this kind of person.
Yeah.
Like, fed up with the asshole customers that come in.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, we've got these very odd guys playing pool as well. They kind of look like a gang of 90s vampires or something. And one of the actresses that is part of that kind of pool group of like those weird vampire looking people playing pool was actually supposed to be the main actress of the film. But this production of this film, it took 2 years for Tina Krause to make this film. And over the course of that production, 2 of her main actors quit.
The one girl went to follow some dude that she met to Europe. She met and followed him to Europe and never came back to finish the movie. She's the one with the dark hair. So she was supposed to play the girl who is the blonde girl in it, okay? She was supposed to be that character. But and you only see her briefly in the beginning. I didn't want to lose what I shot, and I was like, fuck this, who cares? Right? I kept it in. But she went to go find some dude who went to Europe, and she went to go chase some dick, really. Never finished the film, and I was just like, you know what? Screw you. Recasted. That's why it took so long. And then the one guy who, you know that scene where the TV is there? It's the blonde-haired guy, and they're kissing in the hallway, and he's like, what's wrong? Whatever. So he was supposed to be the lead throughout the whole movie. I had to replace him with my with the guy who not made the joke, but the other guy he's talking to. Okay, I had to replace him with that guy, which was my crew guy, one of my crew members. Okay, and I was just like, one of my cameramen actually played that part. I had to replace him with that because he had to go and let me say this with kindness in my heart. He had to go find himself. And he didn't tell me. He told Gary. And I was so mad that day because we were waiting on him. And I was like, what the fuck? Now I can't shoot these. I got to shoot around. And I'm like, oh my God. Right? So I was on the phone with Gary. And I'm like, he had to go find himself. You better find him before I do, man. I was like, I'm going to fucking kill him. You motherfucker better find himself before I do, man. I swear to God.
Man, I can only imagine how frustrating, stressful that must be.
Fucking
like,
nightmare.
We've both been on sets. We both had to be in that situation. We're trying to make a film, and because of some cunt things aren't going the way they should be going. But to have someone just get up and disappear without saying anything,
awful.
Yeah, you would be fucking livid.
Yeah, for sure. Even like someone just not showing up on the day is enough to totally fuck you over, right?
Yeah,
and, like,
imagine how much shit you had to set up.
Unbelievable.
Like a day's shoot, that's a lot of planning.
Yeah.
It's not just one person.
It's nuts. So I think that kind of explains like why this film is extra sort of disjointed as well, where she recast, but she kind of kept the scenes in as well. And on each rewatch, I like it more because of that, because it is this kind of nightmare vision of hell sort of thing. But yeah, I think that sort of helps explain some of the strangeness of this film.
But it totally works, yeah, because I was watching it this morning and I was like, wait, that character, did he look like that? Is that not a different person?
Yeah.
So that totally makes sense. But like within the narrative of this film, though, you wouldn't know otherwise. Like
sure.
it works because it is just so disjointed,
totally
narratively.
Yes. So that actor that she talks about, and we'll sort of get to that scene later, but the replacement actor that she's talking about is the guy that's sitting next to the sort of big, burly, shaved head guy. He was the editor of the film. And I think the cameraman as well. His name's Michael Lisa. So yeah, he ended up being the replacement for this other actor.
Gotta say, props to the editor, because he did a bloody fantastic job on this.
Yeah. Actually, the editing process of this film is pretty crazy as well.
Oh, I can only imagine.
So that guy, Michael Lisa, I think he worked in, I can't remember what it was. His dad had like a party supply store or something like that. And he built he sectioned off an area of the shop hidden away from his dad for an editing space.
What, in his dad's shop?
Yeah, in his dad's shop.
Did his dad not notice part of his shop is missing?
So he had this thing sort of sectioned off. Yeah. And they had to sort of secretly edit the film in this weird little space.
That's awesome.
And at one point, the dad came in when they were editing, and they had to hide in the shop. So Tina Krause was hiding in this space.
That's mad. How do you hide an editing suite in a shop?
Know. It's hard to picture. Yeah. So he was a big part of making this film. That guy for sure. So big burly bald guy and the other guy, Michael Lisa, are sitting there. Tina Krause, the waitress, not Tina Krause, but the waitress played by Tina Krause, comes over to serve them. And yeah, the bald guy is just instantly really creepy to her, right? There's a lot of that of guys just being extremely gross in this film. And I think the line that she says to him is I think he's sort of hitting on her, and she's like, "You couldn't get that lucky in your wettest dreams."
You couldn't get that lucky in your wettest dreams.
Great line.
I wonder if all these like sleazy male characters came from her W.A.V.E production days of having to like cater for all these sleazy male like customers.
It's hard to know because watching that documentary about W.A.V.E, all the people involved in the production seem really nice and not sleazy. But yeah, who knows? Maybe meeting fans or something like that. Perhaps, yeah.
I'm sure the quicksand guy isn't that nice in real life.
Who knows? He could be a lovely guy. He just loves quicksand.
Don't go to the beach with him, though.
So in this bar, a blonde woman wearing sunglasses walks in. So this is Catherine. And she's essentially a vampire.
Right.
Basically, yeah. So this is, in a way, a vampire film, kind of, but not really, but kind of.
Yeah.
But she's a somewhat of a vampire sort of character. She walks past, I love this bit where she walks past the people playing pool, and this spooky looking guy sort of leans into the pool table and just shushes her.
Yeah.
She hasn't said anything, but he's like, shh. I just love that shot. It's so, like, it's such a, as you said, all those wide angles. It's very big and strange and very, very odd.
Great music in this scene as well. I must have. The music throughout this whole film was great, but this scene in particular was, like, awesome.
Really, really cool stuff. Yeah, a man approaches Catherine as she's walking through, and he just collapses on the ground.
She like blasts him with her mind power or something.
We've got this weird sort of video effect as she's staring at him. Somehow blasting him with her brain.
I was like, is this some kind of like psychic mind power movie? Like her going around blasting men with her mind? Which we don't really get any more of, but
I think it's only that moment, right? Yeah, but it's great.
That's it. I quite stopped trying to find any not meaning, but any
like logic,
right? Quite soon after.
I think that's a good idea. Although with repeated viewings, it does start to make more sense. I think, and that's one thing that struck me talking to Tina. She knows exactly what this film is about, and what everything means in it. Which is impressive because it's so complex and there's so much going on. But yeah, we go back to creepy bald guy and his mate, and the bald guy makes a comment that is so funny. Did you remember?
No,
his line here? So he's comparing this Catherine woman, the blonde woman with sunglasses, to another woman that he's met who had huge boobs, and he refers to her boobs as being like, it looks like she was smuggling midgets.
You know, the one, the huge knockers, man. Fucking tits out to here with watermelons. She looked like she was smuggling midgets across the border. Like that. Slap my face in between.
I didn't write that. No, not that one. He came up with that. Mike Koutzakis. I fucking love that guy. He's a comedian, bro. He's really funny, okay? So when I gave him a general dialogue, you know, a lot of it I did write, but there are like little things that he added, and that was one of them. And I was just like, I remember when he said it, I'm shooting it, and I'm like, oh my God, please don't make me laugh. I'm like, I'm about to laugh and ruin this scene. I had to walk out. I was like, oh my God, Mike. And the general, the reaction that you got from the other guy was genuine because he wasn't expecting it either. Okay? Not at all.
So yeah, mostly a scripted film, but that smuggling midgets line improvised.
Nice.
But yeah, so Catherine is sitting there, the waitress comes over to serve her, and we've got this really weird dialogue exchange.
I know this. Yeah, so Tina Krause character, she's like, "Is something wrong?" And she's like, "No." Are you sure about that? Yes. And then she's like, "Okay," and then kind of just like floats away.
I love that. It's so weird, like such strange,
it's such an odd interaction.
It's great though. I really love that bit.
Okay.
Yeah, the big burly bald guy is encouraging his friend to go and hit on Catherine. And Catherine's just sitting there like rubbing her finger on her wine glass.
That's right.
And we start to get these like weird flashes of this imagery that's shot on film. So it's all really bizarre and like, yeah, just shot really, it's like really fast, like sort of sped up kind of footage. And I found that really interesting that they had made the effort to shoot certain scenes on film.
So we shot on film and then we spliced it and then we put it on the viewfinder and then shot through the viewfinder but we did it in reverse. I'm not supposed to tell you these secrets. No, we shot it in reverse and then at the very end we took a match and really down to the ground and had the film up here and then shot and watched it bubble and go away. So that was a one-shot take, obviously. If it didn't work out, it wasn't going to work.
So she actually burnt the negatives.
Yeah,
Wow.
so like at the end, right, you see it sort of bubble up and burn. But yeah, I love to like hearing about that because, you know, not to generalize, but a lot of films shot on video films at this time, there's not that level of creativity or effort put into how it looks, I think. Whereas this film, she's like clearly thought so much about how she wants it to look.
Yeah.
And yet to shoot those scenes on film, which are really effective and strange kind of moments as well, just really adds to the feeling of this film, I think. Yeah.
100%.
So Catherine is sitting down there and a man appears opposite her, but we don't really see his face.
Oh, we get his like hand shots. Yeah, wearing like all these like rings, got black finger, nail paint or something.
Vampiric looking hands. Yeah, yeah. He's telling her she can't keep running. She can't run from herself. He says that they'll always find her. So we're not really sure who this guy is at this point.
No, is she drinking blood?
She could be.
I know she's drinking, like, I guess a red wine, like, drink, but I thought, wait, he's kind of very vampiric. He's got that typical vampiric style to him with the rings and whatnot. But so I was thinking maybe she got a cup full of blood.
She could do.
She could do. Silly question.
But yeah, he says to her, Catherine, you're the only one who sees them and they see you. Are there any more in your dream? So we don't really know what this means, but something's going on. And this seems to be some sort of like guilt that this Catherine character has. So yeah, we're back at the bar. Everyone's drinking. It's shot like very rough and almost it kind of from those early shots where it's all very smooth and wide. It suddenly gets kind of like handheld and kind of very, what's the word? Like it almost feels like a documentary at times in this scene. And then we're back to Catherine and she starts imagining that hand that's been tapping on the table.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all like bloodied and deformed.
She gets all those like weird visions of like a man kind of like flickering, almost like stop motion, like guy just almost seizuring up, but it's kind of like, it's got that kata 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 like film rolling sound to it.
What?
And then we move forward into the night and the waitress comes over very aggressively demanding that Catherine leaves because she wants to get out of there.
Oh, yeah.
And then, we get a scene of Catherine sort of back home, I guess. It's, again, very dark, so it's very hard to tell what's going on. But she's watching a static TV while smoking and looking at photos. And it's hard to tell what the photos are, but they're photos of people. But yeah, perhaps like victims of hers, maybe.
Oh,
I don't know.
Maybe.
And there's also writing on her wall that just says, you have visitors. Yeah, and then we cut to the waitress. It's very hard to know that it's her. I actually had to check this with Tina Krause.
Okay.
So the waitress is walking down a hallway with a towel wrapped around her head.
Yeah.
And we can't really see her face. But yeah, she's walking down, this sort of intense music is playing. And she goes towards this guy whose face is all lit up. And he runs towards her. And then we cut to really harshly to this guy just screaming in pain. With this, how would you describe the filter over it?
It's almost like half black and half white. So half the screen is like really intense blacks and half the screen is really intense whites. Yeah. And it kind of just flicks back and forth between like the like side split and then like horizontally split as well. And he just like says scream and his tongue's all flopping around. It's a very intense scene, but yeah, very harsh, stark blacks and whites in there.
Yeah, it's almost like it's like a negative kind of filter, right?
Yeah,
but really full on and like overexposed and intense. Yeah, as you say, he's like screaming, and in the background, we can read the text, "We live in hell" as well.
Right.
I only noticed that the last time I watched it.
This is a very visually great scene.
Yeah.
And the soundtrack was also incredible
So
once
nuts.
again. But once again, in my notes, I was like, I have no idea what's going on. I'm just loving all these visuals, but I'm not trying to make sense of them.
Yeah. So then, while this guy's screaming, a woman comes in who we can assume is Catherine. And she attacks him and stabs him in the eye.
Yeah, stabs him in the eye. Couldn't believe it.
And yeah, like the shot is like flashing in and out of that filter as well. It's very intense. That guy, by the way, playing this role, Tina told me that was her sound guy who stepped in to do that role. Sean, the sound guy.
Sean, the sound guy. Brilliant.
Yeah, so we get this, quite out of nowhere violent scene. And then we cut into a very visually different scene of a woman walking down the street, very young woman, played by Jessica Krause, who is Tina's sister.
Right, okay.
My sister never acted in her life. That was the first acting thing she ever did, and the last. She said to me after we did that, she was like, she was so exhausted. She was 15 years old, okay? She was so exhausted. She went home and slept for like almost 3 days straight, didn't go and play with her friends or nothing like that. My mom was like, what did you do to her? Like, and kind of laughed because it was like, good, thank God I don't have to deal with her. And then I asked my sister, you want to act? She was like, oh, hell no. She's like, that was the hardest experience I ever had in my life.
Brilliant. Yeah, this is that strange scene, like, there's the two people meet, I guess her sister, and she meets a guy in this kind of open square, and it's kind of like some lovey-dovey atmosphere going on between them. I felt seems a bit romantic there. The audio is barely audible. You can barely hear what they're saying, but she kind of produces this strange like helmet mask thing, and I was like, what is this for now? And the guy's saying, like, I'm nervous about it. How about you? Like, I hope I don't puke on stage. And I'm thinking, so this is some kind of, for like a theater production? Or something?
Maybe,
But then nothing really. I guess we do come back to masks and things later.
We see it again, but yeah, it is really... I do actually love this scene because it's just so strange.
Yeah.
And like, as you say, it's just shot in this like outdoor kind of area.
Yeah, you got McDonald's in the background.
A guy staring down the barrel of the camera as well. But yeah, like this guy, he's nervous about something, and she's also saying, I'm dreading it as well. But we don't know what it is.
But I was like, so they're doing some kind of theater production, I guess. And then this is the first time where I was like, I'm actually finally following something. Like, this is somewhat linear. And then nothing. And then about another 40 minutes passed before we saw the masks again.
Those masks, which are really weird, right? Like,
I didn't
really
know how you would describe them.
Just stranger, helmety kind of mask, Roman looking kind of, but not really. Like, very odd,
Birdman-esque.
But they were. I think Tina said they found them in an old like Shakespeare theater that had shut down.
Right.
They just took those masks.
Makes sense.
And she still has them.
Hey.
Still has those masks.
Good stuff.
But yeah, Jessica Krause and this very 90s man have that conversation.
Do we see him again? Because I know we see Jessica Krause again.
We see people in that mask again.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's him or not.
Right.
So we might see him, but not... I don't think he has any lines again. Like, that's it. But yeah, Jessica Krause we see quite a lot of. And we'll get to it later, but who her character actually is, I didn't realize until Tina Krause explained it to me. But we'll maybe get to that at the end.
I have no idea.
So then we're back to the apartment again.
Yeah.
And the woman with the towel on her head, which is the waitress, Tina Krause, is walking through the shot. Yeah, this apartment that this was shot in is actually where Tina lived. And this is a pretty great opportunity to talk about how fucking insane the place that she lived in was.
Right, okay.
So most of this, like, not just those apartment scenes, but all of those kind of warehouse-looking scenes, those weird kind of hallways, that is where she lived.
Wow.
She lived in an abandoned tobacco factory.
God, I hate ex-boyfriends, but I just gotta tell them all I love them all now, because if it weren't for you assholes, I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't have made the decisions I made. I was living with my ex when I was going to SVA, right? And I was living in Manhattan, not too far from the school. And I caught him cheating on me, which is always fucking lovely. So he was like, we'll talk about this. I got a dart tournament. I'm sorry. This is so stupid. A dart tournament. I'm like, oh, fuck yourself. Right? So he's like, I have a dart tournament this weekend. I'm like, whatever. He's like, when I get back, we'll talk about this. And, he's like, we really should talk. And I'm like, sure. And I'm like, have fun at your dart tournament. Right? And I was just like, fucking douche. So, like, he goes, I call up a friend of mine. I'm like, I tell him everything that happened. I was really upset. I'm like, I got to get out of here. I don't even want to give him, like, I just want to get out of here tonight if I can. So he's like, hold on, Tina. He's like, it's funny you should say that. There's an art community and there's a space available in this, like, warehouse area, but it's unfinished. Like, it's just what I said. I don't give a shit. I can stay at I can shower at my friend's place or whatever. I just need to get the hell out of here. I'm like, I will kill him in his sleep. I'm like, I was like, so before I stab him in the throat when he's sleeping, let's get my ass out of here. I'm going to go to jail for this, right? So he tells me about it, and I find this place, and I go in there, and I'm like, all right, great. And I'm like, this is insane. I'm like, whoa. Now, while all this is happening, another friend of mine, Phil, he is trying to move out of his place because the girl he was living with went haywire on him. So I'm like, well, I'm moving. And he's like, dude, can you pick me up? I'm like, what? He's like, I'm in the street right now. She's throwing dishes at me. And it was really good. In fact, the girl that was doing this, the one that he lived with, I don't know if you ever listened to freestyle music back in the day, but No Santa, summertime, baby. Okay, well, she had a one-hit wonder, all right? So anyway, I knew the artist and I knew the song, but I didn't know that he was living with her. And he's like, she's absolutely insane. I'm like, wait, is she your girlfriend? He's like, no. He's like, that's the insane part. He's like, she's throwing dishes at me. He's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. So I was like, well, I had to get the fuck out of here too, and I can use a roommate. So we wound up moving into the tobacco factory. And when we got there, he looked at me and he was like, what the fuck? I'm like, don't worry, I got a vision. He's like, a vision? There's no shower, no sink, no toilet. He's like, the fucking floor is covered in pigeon shit because it was abandoned and there was a hole in the wall. And I was like, you got a friend down the block. You could take a shower. If not, I got a friend, we can all like hang out. I'll pay or whatever. And, we can at least use it until I get the shit hooked up. So he was like, you're fucking serious. He's like, we just moved into an abandoned building. That's what we did. I was like, yeah. But I lived there for a very long time, and I did make it really nice. And I did find that putting in a shower and, with the toilets were out in the hallways anyway. So I was like, fuck that. I'm not doing that shit. We use the toilets in the house. That's there. Just walk down the hall. Right? But the shower we put in, and yeah, so it was an interesting living space. I loved it. I was so sad when I had to leave.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you know, but it was an abandoned tobacco factory. Did they have to pay any rent? Were they essentially squatting, or?
That's what I couldn't quite confirm that, but she said, like, when I asked her, were you squatting there? She was like, essentially, yeah.
Right.
But the
just
guy
let
that,
herself in.
yeah, the guy that owned the place was like really pissed off that they were there and kept trying to sort of get them booted out. And yeah, she got I guess like the city involved to like, it was, what's the word? Like, it was listed as like a heritage kind of place.
Right, yeah.
But the guy who owned it, he pulled the place down.
Oh.
But apparently he still owns it, but he can't build anything in that space because the space is considered a heritage area.
Oh my God.
So he fucked himself over by doing that. But yeah, so everything, like 90% of this film is shot in that tobacco factory. Which is why it has all those weird warehouse sort of locations.
There's a lot of like abandoned looking stuff going on.
Yeah.
Long hallways.
Yeah.
Cracked windows.
Very industrial looking. Yeah. So when they were shooting this, it was apparently brutally hot. And they had no air conditioning in this building as well because it was an abandoned tobacco factory. So the thing that this made me think of, though, so she lives in this space, right? And this was a 2-year shoot because of all the delays and stuff like that. So can you imagine what it would be like to live on the movie set, essentially, for 2 years? So I remember when I did Cat Sick Blues, we had like a week where I lived. It was shot at my grandma's house. And for like a week or a week and a half, I like was living there and like waking up and shooting. And I remember it feeling so nightmarish. Like it felt like, you know, like just this, you would go to sleep and then wake up on set.
Right.
Sleep for a couple of hours and start filming. And for 2 weeks, that was, or a week and a half or however long it was, that was a fucking nightmare.
No,
so I was like, imagine that for 2 years.
Oh my God. No wonder this film is a nightmare to watch. Yeah.
Oh man. So the waitress, towel on her head lady, is walking around her apartment asking for Joe. Don't know who Joe is. But we never see her face properly. It's a lot of shots from behind.
Yeah, I didn't know who it was.
Yeah, so I asked Tina, and it is her in that role. But yeah, she goes to the front door, and there's a note that says, "Meet me upstairs." And she looks through the keyhole. And do you remember what she sees when she looks through that keyhole?
There's like a guy like staring back at her, right?
There's a really creepy
It's
guy.
like really distorted, big old eye.
Yeah, and he's like licking the wall and stuff. He's acting all weird.
And he does like a runner, doesn't he?
Yeah, he runs away, and she moves out into the space sort of looking for him. Finds another note that I couldn't quite read it properly, but I think it says, "Catherine, roses are dead, violets are bloom," I think. So yeah, very weird note there.
Is this where we get that awesome chase scene where she essentially goes after him?
Yeah.
Yes, this was awesome. And once again, this is probably the only thing I've contributed to this podcast so far. Great music. But it was a very like Tetsuo like industrial soundtrack. It was great.
Yeah, it's really cool. But yeah,
like,
she's sort of just moving through the hallway chasing this weird guy, right? Yeah. And like shots of, you see like a TV at one point.
This was such a great shot. This was so good. It's there for such a brief amount of time, yet this would have taken so long to do. So yeah, they're filming a TV, and in the TV is another shot of the TV, right?
Yeah.
And then within that is another shot of the TV, and it keeps going and going. And the camera kind of like spirals around, it twists around, rotates, and then in like sequential order, all the TVs within those TVs also rotate and spin round. And it's such an awesome shot.
Yeah, it's really cool.
One which I have no idea what the meaning is, if there is one or not. But I was like, my goodness. Like, for something that has maybe a meaning, but at least not a clear one, this is a shot that would have taken so long to achieve.
It's very, very cool.
It looks amazing.
Yeah. We also, as this chase is happening, we're also seeing Jessica Krause, Tina's sister, at the bottom of these stairs. And we're just sort of seeing flashes of her looking at the camera and then sort of running away.
Yeah.
So it's like, wait, is she part of this chase as well? Like, she's sort of in it too. Very, very confusing.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then we go into this dark room, where there's all these candles set up. And yeah, Jessica Krause is here suddenly, not Tina Krause anymore. And she's staring at the candles and this dead rose on the ground. And then she runs away. And then sort of like from behind the camera, I'm assuming Tina Krause's hand comes out and picks up the dead rose. So then, yeah, Jessica Krause is still running through. So at this point, it seems like the waitress has sort of morphed into Jessica Krause. They've kind of combined into the same person. And we see Jessica Krause sitting against a wall, looking kind of very intense, staring at the camera. And she's just pointing in a direction, just pointing off camera. And we're seeing flashes of Catherine, the vampire woman.
Oh, yeah.
Over the footage, these sort of strange flashes of her. Then images of her as well where photography, like weird black and white photography, is projected over her, over Catherine. I love this visually as well. Like this light starts strobing and Catherine screams and like seems to be kind of talking to the camera, but we can't hear what she's saying. And I love the good strobe effect. Looks awesome, yeah. And then after all these shots of Catherine, we just very like violently cut to this man covered in blood, just fucking screaming
in the shower.
Yeah, all like again like strobe on him as well. Fucking nuts.
It was a very intense scene. Very cool.
I loved it. It's great.
Very intense. I love a good chase.
Yeah.
And with that pounding soundtrack as well, I was loving it. I like that bit where we kind of like slip into that dark room with the candles. It looked like you kind of stumbled into some kind of weird ritual or something, which we do go back to later.
Yeah, we revisit that, right? Yeah. Then we get quite a big stylistic switch at this point where we're just cutting to a very normal looking shot of some cars driving around and this old jazz music is playing over the top. And then we cut into Jessica Krause at this Spanish style bar, very fruity looking bar.
Yeah, this is when she needs to pee.
Yeah, this is my favorite scene.
This is your favorite scene? This is so bizarre. This is such a tonal shift.
Yeah, it's such a shift. But yeah, Jessica Krause is like drinking at the bar. And yeah, she goes into the bathroom. And yeah, this bathroom scene is my favorite scene. So it's basically Jessica and Tina Krause, so like real life sisters, not sisters in the film, having this very weird kind of feverish conversation. They're talking, so Tina Krause is talking about waitressing, but she's asking Jessica, how's the film going? Like, how's your film production going? And it's like, wait, what the fuck is Jessica Krause Tina Krause? Like, what's happening? Like, is she playing her? It feels like she's talking about like W.A.V.E. Productions or something.
Right.
Jessica's talking. And it's so weirdly shot. Like the camera's just like zooming in suddenly. Yeah, when I was watching this, I'm like, this feels so real. Like it is just two sisters having a chat and talking about like things that they're doing right now in their lives. Yeah. So I asked Tina about this scene.
Oh, okay.
So the bathroom scene, we were actually in a bar and my AD knew who was also in the movie, knew the bartender of that bar. It's a Latin bar. So you know when we're in the Latin bar and the bartender's actually... Okay. So he's actually in my movie. He plays one of the guys that's in the bag, right? But he was giving my sister drinks. And I thought they weren't like... I thought they were like virgin drinks. They weren't. So she was actually drunk in that scene. And I was like, this girl's never acted before. And she's drunk. They gave her real liquor. I'm going to get in so much trouble. She was really drunk. And then I realized it when she started saying some things. And I was like, I'm just going to let her roll with it.
Yeah, she was very much like, hey, man, I need to pee like a racehorse. I got to pee so bad, dude.
I feel like a kangaroo with like a pouch inside. And it has to let go. Like, you have to let it go.
I love that. But yeah, so that scene is my favorite scene, but it feels very different from everything that's around it. Yeah. And I love this, like, after the scene, we just get a title frame that says Day 3.
What's that about?
I don't know.
We didn't get one or two.
Yeah.
But now you said she had a trip that lasted for 3 days.
I do wonder if it's connected to that. But yeah, oh man, I fucking love this.
And this is where this is where the horror really kicks in.
Oh man, I love this bit. So we've got a guy dressed in sort of hospital scrubs pushing Jessica Krause, like her dead body on a, what do you call that? Like a
trolley.
Yeah, like a trolley sort of moving through.
Cadaver trolley. Like they're in a morgue.
Yeah. Very weird. We get a flash of those weird Shakespeare masks. Two guys just like staring with those masks on.
Yeah.
Fucking creepy.
It's very nightmarish.
Yeah. And like he takes her body into a lift and they go down to this massive sort of warehouse. And he wheels the body in and puts it down on this slab. And this is my favorite bit of the score as well. It's just like this droning score. The score was all by one guy.
So that soundtrack was made by one of my crew guys. Okay, Mike Sand. He sat in his basement and made all the noise for that movie on a guitar, on an electric guitar. I don't know if it's the only thing he used, but I know that was a big thing.
Yeah, using an electric guitar, which it doesn't sound like electric guitar at all.
I would not have guessed, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds so cool, especially in this scene. Yeah, the body, Jessica Krause's body is left down there. It's got bubble wrap all over it. We get a lot of...
Is it bubble wrap?
Yeah, she's got like some bubble wrap on top of her as well, yeah.
I know like the cadavers were like wrapped in some kind of cling film.
They are earlier on, but then like when she's on the slab, there's just some bubble
really?
wrap next
I
to
did not clock that.
Yeah, he leaves it in, and then we're back at the bar.
And the two guys who are always there drinking, apparently, talking about Catherine, the girl in the sunglasses again. Is this when they're talking about how you can't trust the lady with sunglasses?
Yeah.
It's like, you got something to hide.
We see those guys talking, but then lots of other people just talking really intensely. Like dirty kind of bar talk sort of stuff, right? It's really intense. It's like one of my favorite bits as well. The bartender, not the waitress, but the bartender brings over a drink to not the bald guy, but the other guy.
Different guy.
And he says, yeah, that woman over there bought you this drink. But he warns him.
She's trouble, man.
So yeah, Catherine once again is sitting there and she's talking to that off-screen vampire character again. And he starts talking about the waitress. He's like, where's your waitress friend? And he starts suggesting that something terrible has happened to the waitress. We don't know what at this point.
Do we ever?
I don't know. Maybe. So we also then cut to a dead body.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
Oh no, so yeah, we go back to like the morgue, don't we, essentially, and there's all these dead bodies and they all start like twitching and convulsing and essentially coming back to life. Yet they're all dead.
Yeah.
And their corpse paint, I guess the makeup, the cadaver makeup is really good.
It's extremely effective.
Yeah.
One of the dead bodies looks right at the camera and is like, see what you've done, now see it through my eyes.
Yeah.
And then we go into, as you mentioned, these fucked up shots of Tina Krause. It's Tina Krause, so the waitress, who's dead. And she's just like foaming at the mouth. And it's fucking intense.
It's very nightmarish.
Really nightmarish. And yeah, both Tina and Jessica are there, like sort of bleeding from the eyes and like foaming at the mouth. So weird. Like so, hellish.
Yeah, it is visions of hell, essentially. Yeah.
Incredibly effective. Yeah. So yeah, back to the bar.
Back to the bar, our favorite bar.
And the guy comes over to talk to Catherine. As they're talking, Catherine's looking around. You remember this? Yeah.
There's that couple like eating like all this like bloody shit off a plate with their fingers.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's like there's a couple, isn't it? I couldn't tell what they were eating, but it was like their fingers and hands were covered in blood.
Yeah,
and they're just like ripping the like almost flesh with their hands. Like, oh yeah, it was so grim.
Really gross.
Very nonchalantly.
Yeah. We're also getting what I guess must be like a non-linear kind of flashback to the waitress who's dealing with this kind of shitty guy that's in the bar who's just going, where's the hose? Where's the hose? And Tina Krause is fighting with this guy and he's grabbing at her. And we're also cutting to the bartender in this fucking crazy wide-angle shot who's like, get the fuck out of here!
I bet you love that guy. You love those characters.
He's so good.
Hey, buddy!
So we're sort of cutting between all these different things, like between customers eating like disgusting shit, and then also Catherine and this guy, where Catherine's asking him, over to her place.
Yeah.
Right?
Very, very sheepishly, though, isn't she?
She's like, is it too much for me to ask?
I could do with the company if you don't mind.
Yeah. I don't know if this is too forward of me. Yeah. It's kind of like when we first met.
Oh, when you came back to mine and we had sex.
We did a fuck. Yeah. We did a dirty fuck. But yeah, then this is the bit that is a mind fuck. I mean, all this movie is a mind fuck, but this is a particular mind fuck because we cut to her place, assuming that she's got the guy that she's been at the bar with, but it's a different guy.
So this is the guy who said was he the one who went to go find himself?
Yes, this is the guy who went to go who went to go find himself. And yeah, as you said before, it actually doesn't matter because it just adds to the feverish nightmarishness of this, like where maybe she did do it to the guy that was at the bar, and this is a different guy that she's done it to as well. I love this scene as well. She's like making out with him, and it's all very red, like intense red lighting. And we get this weird moment where she's watching this TV as it's like playing.
It's just a random TV on the floor.
Yeah, and she's kind of freaked out by it.
The TV. What? It was just on. TV. There's no plug there. Oh my god.
Doesn't the TV show like some kind of like murder or like monster or whatever?
Like some disturbing images, right?
You see at the end the face kind of turns around, the face is all fucked up and distorted.
Yeah.
But when I was watching it, I was thinking, is this TV showing Catherine killing that guy?
Yeah,
that was my first thought on it.
That's a good reading of it. I think it could be, yeah.
But then, she starts freaking out because the TV was on, but there's no plug, and the guy's like, "Hey, this is not the best time to be talking about the TV. We're trying to have sex here."
But yeah, they go off to a room, do a shag.
One of them.
Lots of slow motion and filters. It's like a very tripped out kind of sex scene.
And as Tina says, no nudity.
No nudity.
No nudity here.
Yeah. And then she goes sort of full vampire on him, right? So it goes in to attack him. But we don't really see it.
No, right? It's kind of implied that she bites him.
And then as she does that, we cut to this really strange scene of all these people with bizarre masks on. It kind of feels like a fucked up, imagine like a bunch of university students recreating Eyes Wide Shut or something. But it's like Congo drums and fucking crazy masks. And one of them like leans into the camera and he's like feeling a little queasy, Catherine.
It was weird, weird dancing ritual, but it seemed to be like in someone's living room or something.
It's really odd.
And they all kind of like taunt and surround Catherine, and she's clearly not enjoying it. She's really panicked by all of these people around her.
It's sort of jumping back and forward between, so we've got that happening, but then also her waking up next to the guy that she's just been with, and he's dead.
Yeah.
With like blood all over his neck, so she's sucked his blood. And then we're cutting, as you say, back to that weird party scene where they're taunting her. There's also some great graffiti on the wall.
Oh, really? No, what did that say?
It said E equals MC square hammer. And like all the lights in this, everyone's like glowing, right? They've all got this weird like face paint on. It's kind of like the film takes a detour into like a weird 90s club, right?
Yeah.
There was one night when I had eaten that chocolate. It happened at night. All of a sudden, I'm looking up and I'm staring at the. We had wood beams that ran through, because the whole thing was wood and brick, right? Nothing was covered. So it was a raw building. So when you're tripping, wood is excellent to look at, apparently. And I was listening to the Natural Born Killers soundtrack. Man, I'll never hear that the same again. Oh, dude, music and everything was just like, what? Right? But I'm looking up, and all I saw in the rafters was animal bones in a placenta sack. They were glowing, like orange and green, okay, like that day glow colors, but they were moving and dancing in like that umbilical sac, and they were just like, it was so weird, but they were actually in day glow colors. So I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, what is going on with me? Right? And it was like, I was like, oh, dude. So I was like, yo, I could shoot in blacklight because that's the closest that I'm going to get to that. So it took us all night to paint the people in blacklight. So you saw all the designs and stuff. I was painting, well, my ex is one of the guys that plays the, he has the tall dude with the crazy hair. He looks like a voodoo doll. So I had to paint him. And while I'm painting him, he's painting me, not realizing we're painting the same fucking thing on each other. Because if you look at the patterns, they're the same. I was like, oh, all right. And then everybody else has got like skeletons and fucking something else and, some weird shit. I definitely needed like bones and shit because that's what I saw.
Yeah, so in this blacklight nightmare party, they're all grabbing at Catherine. She's crawling away, backed into a corner. And then we're back into the hallways of the tobacco factory. And we see Tina Krause leaning up against the wall. She's like looking at the camera and just like berating Catherine.
Time means nothing anymore. We're all gonna rot here. You can't stop it. We know what you've done.
Yeah, and then we go into that bathroom, and what do we see in there?
As well, I guess this is what she saw on her like trip.
Yeah,
she said she saw people pulling off their faces. So we get this intense shot of a cadaver literally ripping its own face off, or tearing away at it.
Yeah,
and ripping these massive chunks of flesh of his own face. Very nightmarish.
Very upsetting. Yes. And then we sort of pull away from that into the hallway. And there's a corpse that's wrapped up in plastic, moving around. We see men screaming in the shower again.
We go back to him quite a lot, don't we?
Yeah. And, is this
the door frame part?
Yes.
Yeah. This is the greatest effect in this whole film.
It's fucking awesome.
I was actually quite shocked at how good this looked. I'm not saying the other stuff doesn't look good, but the gore effects in this are actually quite amazing.
So it's like this woman who is kind of like in a Jesus-esque pose, right? Yeah. So again, sort of maybe some of that Catholic stuff coming out, I don't know. But she's in this door frame, and we've got two hands from either side ripping her guts open. It kind of looks like a painting or something, like an old religious painting.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool and disgusting. And probably the best, maybe second best story Tina told me in our interview is about the aftermath of this scene.
Oh, awesome.
Which almost got her arrested.
Sean Clark, I love you. I love you to death. Sometimes I could choke you. So my special effects guy is amazing, okay? He is absolutely fucking amazing. But we had did this the scene where, she's getting her stomach ripped out, like the hands come out of the wall and just rip, okay. So I guess we were all really tired and spent, like just tired, like, the special effects guys up. It's not just the like actors. Yeah, okay, you guys are tired, but like my crew is fucking exhausted. Like they are working when you guys are home. They're still working. When the day ends, they're not ending. You know what I mean? So it was clean up, and we finished around like 4:30, I think, in the morning, somewhere like that, right? So I went to him. I said, "Hey," I said, "when you're done, just clean this up. I got to get all the actors washed up and shit like that and get them home and paid, whatever." Right? So he's like, yeah, I got this, right? So he did it rather fast. I should have questioned it, but I didn't because I was tired too. But I just thought he knew what he do. If he didn't, he would have asked me. You know what I mean? So what he did was he took a mattress out of a dumpster and threw it on top of the blood to absorb the blood. Okay, most of it, and it did. And then put the mattress in the dumpster. And then took cardboard boxes and opened them up and just laid that over the stain of the blood. Try to remember. Jersey City was a really dangerous place when I was living there. Okay? Like people were getting killed on the daily, all right? And where I was living was very remote and there's, it was all warehouses, you know what I mean? Easy place for someone to kill someone and shove them under something. But that building did have maintenance to it, and it did because we were there, and everybody knew that. So they had somebody that would take out the garbages and things like that. And one of the workers went to take out the dumpster and saw the mattress looked like somebody got murdered on it, okay? So without any other thing, called the police. The police came. I'm waiting for everybody to show up. I'm like, why are none of my actors on time? None of them. I'm like, what? Now part of my crew, the ones that don't live, close by or they didn't stay over, all right, that are coming, are not showing up. I'm trying to call everybody. This is before cell phones. I'm like, what the hell? And they get a knock on my door, and I'm like, and it's a police officer. And he was like, were you here last night? And I was like, yes. He's like, did you hear anything or see anything? Or, I was like, no. Right? And he's like, nobody, nothing. And I was like, no. He's like, all right. And I'm like, I'm not fully thinking because my mind is on where the fuck are all these people? Right? So I look out the window and I see a whole bunch of people lined up and then a couple of cop cars. And it's just, and I'm looking and I'm like, and I notice one of my crew guys and I'm like, what the fuck? What is going on? Right? And then the other guy, Sean, who is staying in my place, I'm like, hey, Sean. And it hit me. Because before I asked him, I went to my neighbor's, I knocked on my neighbor's door and I'm like, what is going on? And they were like, somebody was murdered. I'm like, what? And they were like, yeah, someone got murdered in the basement. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. We were there last night. Oh my God, when? They were like, they don't know. They just found a bloody mattress in the dumpster. I'm like, geez, and I'm buying into this. I'm thinking it really happened. I was like, I gotta let everybody know. They have to be careful. Now I gotta make sure that there's nothing going on. And this is all running through my head. And then all of a sudden, I come in and I look at my special effects guy and it just slapped me in the fucking face. I'm like, wait a minute. We were shooting last night. We had a lot of blood. So there's nobody got murdered because I would have heard it. Somebody would have seen it. We had like at least 50 to 100 people on set. There's no way you could have got away with that. And then I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm like, all right. And I look at him and I'm like, when you cleaned up last night, what exactly did you do? He's like, oh, it was really simple. It was a mattress in the dumpster. And I went, fuck.
That's fucking wild. Jesus. Can you imagine? That's quite amazing how that didn't click for anyone else. Because there's over 50 to 100 people on set as well. Yeah. That's such a massive number for this production.
I guess as well, there's a huge cast in this film. There's so many, small little roles.
I guess, and whatnot. Yeah. Like people in the bar and stuff as well. Yeah.
And I think she was also saying to me that, a lot of people that lived in this tobacco factory because it was kind of an art community. They all just wanted to get involved in the production and did in a variety of different ways. So,
Sure.
Yeah, big crew. That'd be stressful dealing with that many people, I would say. Yeah. So then we're, after this sort of weird, violent, Jesus-like imagery, we're back to Catherine, and she's in the middle of all those candles that we saw earlier. And there's a guy that's holding a cross who's sort of sitting amongst the candles. He's telling her off for not accepting who she is. She's demanding to see his face, but he says,
"This is how you've always seen us. This is how we will remain."
Maybe this is her victims, like the people in this scene. It's hard to know for sure. But someone else comes in and pulls out Catherine and takes her outside.
Yeah.
Takes her away from this scene. Yeah, she's in this very filthy looking courtyard that she walks into. And yeah, she sort of screams up to the top of the building there. And you know how I said that last story was my second favorite story? This next one is the best story.
Okay.
And it's like, you can probably tell from listening to Tina Krause, she's a pretty boisterous character. Like, she's a pretty energetic, funny person. She's also a bit fucking scary. And I think this next story really shows how fucking hardcore she is.
And now I'm trying to get my actress out there, and she's got to do this scene. And it's a trying scene. Like, it's really not the easiest scene. So she's out there, she's trooping it, doing great. These guys are on the top balcony up wherever, the second, third level, I don't know, right? And every time I try to shoot the scene, they're whistling at her. And I'm like, this has got to stop. I can't get the scene, right? So I'm like, I say, cut. And I'm like, I walk over there. I'm like, hey, guys, now you do me a favor. You can whistle at her all you want, all day long, but not when I'm shooting. Can you just do me that favor? Just do me a favor. Just let me get my scene, and then, whatever. I'm trying to shoot a movie. Is that cool? Yeah. Okay. And I'm more ready into, this is coming close to the end of the movie making, right? So I'm spent. I'm tired. I'm aggravated. A lot of things have been going wrong all day. This is the last fucking annoying, stupid ass thing I need. All right. And I could get real fucking violent. Okay. So I'm like, all right, ready, guys? You guys ready? I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Susie, they're going to stop, right? We're going to get the scene. We'll try to get through this really quickly. I'm like, action. She starts to do it. They do it again. And all you hear is, what the fuck? Right? So I'm like, cut. I'm like, everybody take 10. My other guys are coming in with Kraft. Okay? They're walking up the stairs. I don't know what argument started between them, but I was on my way to this dude already. So I didn't give a flying fuck. All right? So the guy is sitting there, so I walk up to him, I go, what is your fucking damage, bro? Right? And I pushed him. Oh no, I was gonna fight. I was gonna throw him right off the thing and watch him die. Literally gonna flip him off the edge of the thing. Okay, that's why I pushed him, so he could lose his footing. And there's a rail there, and all I had to do is just go like that, and he would have flipped right on over and went right on down to the ground. And there's nothing to break that fall. So I was literally gonna kill him. I was pissed. He's like, yo, man, I'm a drug dealer, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't give a fuck, right? I was like, you're in the wrong motherfucking neighborhood. This is an abandoned building. Anybody living here is fucking crazy, right? I was like, hence the person you're talking to. I told you to shut the fuck up when I'm filming. Shut the fuck up, right? So he was like, I ain't gonna say it again, right? And he was like, what? And then he was like, yo, blah, 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 blah. I turned around. Behind me, there was a piece, because there's always like debris everywhere, because people are always building shit, throwing shit, nobody cleans, right? So there's always there was a piece of wood with a couple of nails sticking out of it. You know what I did, right? I grabbed it, I said, you want to talk smack, bitch? I grabbed it and I went after him and I started swinging. I literally went after him with this shit. He's like, yo, what the fuck? I was like, no, what the fuck? He's like, you're a crazy bitch. I said, yeah, you got that right. I am a crazy bitch and I'm coming for you. And I started running after him with this. He saw the nails and he had his stupid fucking BMX bike with him, right? He jumped on it and took off. I'm like, oh, you better. And I started running. I was like, I jumped down two of the flights because you could like literally jump down the fire escape. I know the area. I live there. So I was like, boom, boom. He was like, what the fuck? I'm like, yo, you better run, bitch. I was like, I come back. I'm by myself, by the way. The other guys saw this. Because they started running after me to like help me out, but I was already fucking gone. But I'm coming back and I have the piece of fucking 2x4 with the nail sticking out of it. He's like, Pat's looking at him. He's like, what the hell? Right? And I was like, yo, man, I'm like, I am not in the mood. I'm like, we're going to eat. We're going to fucking shoot this thing and you're all going to go the fuck home. I was like, he was like, what happened? I was like, nothing. The pussy took off.
Oh, I love how passionate she is.
Yeah,
that's going to be the greatest rant ever.
Don't you think, though, that, like, I know that feeling so well from shooting something where you're so fucking exhausted and, I don't know, maybe you're shooting in public and someone's, like, trying to fucking ruin the shoot. And that's what I want to do, is run after them with a piece of wood to beat the shit out of them.
The last thing you need when filming is some person who's not even involved in the shit. Just getting off on causing trouble on your shoot. Yeah.
It's so irritating. But yeah, that happened in this last scene that we're watching, this courtyard scene. So when I rewatched it again after hearing this story, I was just smiling the whole time, imagining Tina Krause chasing down some drug dealers. And like the fact that she was like, I was ready to kill him. Push him up the fucking building. Oh, what a champ.
Push him up the building. Jesus.
Oh, boy. So Catherine's out in this courtyard area and a woman that we haven't met walks out of the building and she tells her, this is your home.
Yeah.
And it's always been your home. And then we get this very interesting looking man who I guess is the vampire.
He's got to be the vampire.
Yeah. And he has very fucking long hair. Very long hair.
Yeah.
So this actor, his name is Baron.
Of course it is. Of course his name is Baron.
He's a musician that Tina cast
he is.
because he looks like a vampire. And he's in a band.
Of course he is. And
his character that he plays in the band is a vampire.
Of course he is. I could have guessed all of that just by looking at him.
I actually really love his performance because he's not like full on scary. He's just like really disappointed with Catherine.
Right.
I kind of enjoyed that like attitude that he has.
It's a shame, Catherine, that you can never truly accept what you really are.
But yeah, he confirms like, yeah, you're in hell. Yeah. This is hell. And a few other people come out with like sunglasses on as well. And the guy that she murdered earlier in the film comes out with a bloodied neck and he just looks really sad. Looks really disappointed to be dead. And Baron tells her that she's in her own hell because she'll never accept what she really is.
Yeah.
Like that's the reason she's in hell. And I love like this long-haired Baron guy sort of just shames her and then walks away.
Yeah.
He's like, ugh, Catherine.
It's like, it's a shame you'll never accept who you really are.
Yeah. Like sort of tuts and walks away. And Catherine fully breaks down. Yeah, then we cut back to her back in bed next to that guy that she's murdered. So we flash back to that point there, looking very shell-shocked. And then we get this really weird kind of final sequence as well. The camera's moving around the building at night, all these sort of dripping sounds, lights hanging down, flickering on and off. Looks like an absolute fucking crack den wherever they shot this bit.
Probably the tobacco factory.
I'm sure it's somewhere in there, yeah, like some demented room in the tobacco factory. And we sort of push into like this light that kind of blows out the frame. And we see Tina Krause just like scrawling all this writing on a wall in this cell. So it's all this like scratching sound. And she writes, "Do you know who I am?" Then turns around, looks at the camera. She's got no face.
That's right, yeah.
I found that quite a striking image.
That's the last shot, isn't it?
We see like the film stock again, and it's like a kid like playing with this corpse.
Oh yeah,
which is also very creepy. And then the film stock burns, as she talked about before, and then it ends. And that's how the film wraps up. The full 50 minutes.
I'll tell you what, Dave, you did a bloody good job of explaining this, because this is not an easy film to explain and talk about.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I watched this with Tana, and at the end, I was like, what did you think? She's like, I really enjoyed it, but I don't understand any of it at all. So she was really looking forward to my interview with Tina.
Yeah.
So I could dig a little deeper into the meaning. I think like the meaning of it is like very, you know, you can interpret it in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, I feel like this is a film that the more you watch it, the more you get from it.
Definitely.
And you're able to like piece a few more pieces together each time.
For sure. I think all up I've seen it now about 6 times.
Wow.
So this last time I watched it today, actually, right before I recorded it, just to check over everything to make sure I had it all in the correct place. Because it is hard because it's so non-linear as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, this last time watching, I was like, fuck, I really like it. And a lot of the things that Tina told me about the meaning sort of started to make sense watching it again.
The blonde lead, okay? She is actually, for the lack of a better term, a vampire, okay? And not in the sense of like, you know, fangs and shit, but yes, but no, okay? So basically she kills people that she meets, all right? Or people that she either wants to have a relationship with, it's something close to them, she winds up killing them. So all the guys she winds up killing, as you know. Okay, she also kills the waitress. It's in the dialogue, you know, when you hear about, what about the waitress? You know, like, blah, blah, blah. The waitress, I am her afterlife. So the waitress that she kills, my sister, okay, I am the afterlife coming for her. The guy with the long hair, the vampire guy, when he says, you know, you're with us now, you know, everybody's coming. This is everyone that she has hurt, maimed, whatever, unrested souls. They're coming to take her. If she doesn't confess, if she doesn't do the right thing right now, okay, and admit to whatever and ask for forgiveness, whatever it is, all right, they are going to take her. And that's what the no is at the end. They take her. When you see it, when you see the writing on the wall, when it's like, do you know who do you know who you are? You know, all that and everything like that. And you turn around and the face is not there anymore. So when I have, you know, when I look in the mirror and you see my eye, right? And then I keep writing on the, okay, so it's my sister, my dead sister's spirit, which is me, okay, with the girl she killed, right? I'm saying my dead sister. There's no sisters in the movie, but I'm just saying that because you know who that character is. All right. It's her, which is me, turning around to take her soul. There's a vendetta. I'm going to take it. So that's what that's about. That's that whole idea of like, you know, you've gotten away with so much, you've killed so many, and then you just got the wrong person this time. And now we're coming to collect. It's time to pay the fiddler. That's what that is. Does that explain it? This had a flow, but if you think about it, what does limbo mean? You're in limbo. And everybody's limbo is different. So everybody's interpretation of a nightmare is going to be different. And that's what this is. This is purgatory. This is a nightmare. You know, I didn't want it to be where you just put your finger on it and this is what happened and that's what it means. No. It could be taken 6,000 ways. It really all depends on how you view it. The other thing too is I can't make anything that horrific that's going to scare you to death if I give you everything. Because whatever scares you is in your head, not mine. I can only feed you bits and pieces of a direction I want you to go in to scare you, but you're going to fill in the blanks. And because of that, that's going to make it even worse. It's going to make it even a more frightening film. Because I'm not dictating to you what's scary. You are. You are the only person that can scare the shit out of you. Nobody else can. The only thing that I can do is play the devil and feed you whatever it is that's going to trigger whatever goes off in your brain. That's it. And that was exactly what Limbo was meant to do.
I really like that idea of like her not showing you everything or letting you kind of interpret it to make it more disturbing for yourself, right?
Definitely. And that totally goes back to people saying, you know, showing too much takes away the fear, and it's what you don't see that makes it scary. You know, you hear a lot in terms of, you know, when people talk about horror movies, which she explains perfectly in that analogy.
For sure. I really recommend as well, like it was really fun doing this, researching this podcast and like watching all the extras on the really great Blu-ray of this. It really helps kind of unpack like a lot of the meaning of the film. And also it's just like so much fun to watch the behind the scenes of Tina directing. Oh yeah. Because you can probably tell from...
She's a character.
Yeah. and it's so good. Like they have interviews with her friends, right? Like the people on the crew and the actors. And this one guy is like, yeah, she's really scary to work with. And describes the set as being hectic and chaotic.
Wow.
And apparently she used to get like an insane amount of coverage of everything and would do like 30 takes of everything. But she also talked a bit about like how she would get performances out of people, which you can probably imagine with her personality.
Scaring out of them.
Well, you're exactly right.
Right.
Dude, at the end of the day, you have a film to put out there. I don't care if you got to put a fucking monkey suit on to make somebody laugh. Do it. To get one of the girls to scream, I literally had somebody hold the camera, and I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna shoot the scene." I snuck up behind her and fucking went, and she went, "Ah!" It was a genuine fucking scream. I took 30 fucking takes could not scream at all. I was like, it's a simple thing. Just scream. Like, laugh. Can you laugh? Okay. Can you scream? It's easy. Nope. Could not. The screams came out like this. I was like, oh my God. So I just like ran. I snuck up behind her for the fucking scene, man. I didn't know what else to do. Like, what do you do? Right? I got what I wanted.
This terrifying actresses to get them to scream.
I love it.
It's awesome.
Isn't that what the Exorcist guy did when filming The Exorcist?
I don't know. What's the story behind that?
I heard that just before he rolled action, he would like shoot a shotgun into the air.
Really?
And from the noise of the shotgun going off, everyone just got so startled. And then he would be like, right, go! And they'd be like, you know?
Jeez, yeah. Oh my God, that's intense.
Yeah, I heard he had a shotgun on set. Don't quote me on that. I don't know how accurate it is, but...
The one I always think of that's kind of awful as well is like Alfred Hitchcock on The Birds.
Oh, yeah.
Just like throwing birds.
Who throws a bird?
And, what's the name? Tippi Hedren, and just what a nightmare. So just before we get to our wrongometer and all that, I wanted to talk a little bit about the film's release and what happened when this came out.
Oh yeah, I'm curious.
This film is from 1999.
Right.
And this is quite fucked. When she finished the film, she submitted it to the Chiller festival that she talked about earlier. And she submitted it under her name, and it was rejected. And she was like, okay, guess I didn't get in. But her friend was like, no, try it again. Like, submit it again. This time, change your name to something else. So she changed her name to Tina Krause on the submission, entered it, and it got accepted.
The fuck?
And she was invited to even be in the director's panel, and just showed up, and she's like, yeah, I'm fucking Stephen Krause. But isn't that fucked?
That's fucked.
Like, and I think that's a problem with horror, definitely at that time as well. It's like so male dominated. And I cannot think of many other female directors from the horror genre at this time as well. So yeah, what the fuck? Isn't that crazy?
Awful.
What an awful story.
Yeah.
But I loved like how she handled it as well, just showing up.
It's like, yo, I'm Steven, what's up?
So the film was released on DVD in 2004, so like years and years after it was finished.
So was it just kind of sitting on a shelf for a while?
I think
Did
so.
it get a VHS release or something? Or
I think like the company that put it out on DVD is Sub Rosa, which you might know. Yeah, they put it out on DVD, and I think they often do like VHS releases as kind of a collectible item. So I'm sure it's probably had a VHS as well. But it got put out on this DVD, and then it was kind of forgotten for years. And Tina kind of moved on. But then, like, it started to get a bit of buzz again, where people were watching and going like, this film's fucking crazy. And it's like so ambitious and unlike anything from this time. So it started to generate some interest, and it ended up playing a few years back at Fantastic Fest in Boston, where she came out for it, did an introduction, did a Q&A, and it went really well from the sounds of it. And then she got this new Blu-ray release. So it's kind of had this second life in the last few years, which is really
I love
great.
a second life.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a really nice thing
that's great.
happened with it.
Yeah, I'm glad that it's become, widely available than it was before, because it is certainly a film that should be seen. Certainly not lost, and especially not rejected for the sake of it being a female director. That's madness.
It's so fucked up. But yeah, I asked her, how she feels about the film now, because it's now 24 years old.
Right.
This film from 99. So yeah, I wanted to know what she thought of it now, and also like what she would have done with it if she had more money.
Right.
Because my personal feeling on this film is the fact that it was made for so little money kind of makes it special, because I think it forced her to do things that to use her creativity in a way that she might not have had she had a lot of money. So I asked her about that, and also sort of how she feels about the film now.
We can all say we would have made the same product. I think it would have been different. I think and not because I would have, went the easy route or anything like that, but it's like, more money, more toys. You know what I mean? Maybe I would have gotten an editing system, and I wouldn't have done all practical stuff. You know what I'm saying? And then that would have been, on some levels, I don't want to say a disappointment, because, it all depends on what you do and how you do it. I mean, so it's hard to say, but I don't think it would have been the same movie. But it's really hard to say. I'm in a different headspace now. So like, I know I can, I know all the things that I could have done with it if I had money, and could say it would be better, but then would it be like, it's really a catch-22. Yeah, sure. You can get better equipment and better everything and do, whatever, but then it doesn't have that raw feel to it, which kind of makes it what it is. I wouldn't have done all the creative aspects to it because I would have had an answer. I did creative shit because I had to figure out how to make a scene match my memory. If I had money, I could have gone online and, got an editing program and did all that with animation. You can have the greatest equipment in the world. You can have top of the line shit all across the board. If you don't know how to work what you have, then you don't have shit. I still relive the first time I shot it. I still relive those days. I don't think it's ever going to change, and I don't want it to. That's a piece of my life that's going to live that way forever. And I don't I've never looked at it and saw it a different way. Even today. Even to this day. In fact, I look at it sometimes and I go, God, I hope I could do the same shit I did back then. What was I thinking?
That cackle.
Yeah, I love that every clip ends with a laugh. Yeah. It's great. But yeah, I know that feeling as well. Like when you make something when you're younger and you're just a lot crazier and more creative, I think, and you just hope that you can continue being able to do something like that. So from this like Blu-ray release and having the screenings of this, like she's kind of gained more support and more of a following, and she is getting back into making stuff as well.
Awesome.
So that's pretty exciting. So she has quite a few projects lined up.
Oh, really?
Picture Box, Bug House, and a TV show called Urban X. Picture Box is a short horror. Basically, it's about a girl who finds this camera. It's an old camera. And she steals it. She finds it in like one of these curiosity shops. And what it does when you look through it, it shows you your death. It takes your soul. Okay. So that's the one movie. Bug House. Bug House is a mystery. I'm not going to tell you what it's about. But I will tell you this. It takes place in an abandoned insane asylum. That's all I'm going to tell you about it. Okay. You can let your imagination run wild on that. And Urban X is actually a TV show about exploring abandoned places, like abandoned insane asylums, abandoned parks, things like that, a whole bunch of stuff. I have explored so many places, so just cities, things, ghost towns, mines, all kinds of things. A concrete city, an abandoned concrete city, literally. Yes. So yeah, that's going to be a whole show. We're going to do that. We're putting the book out too. So there'll be an online book and there'll be the actual show itself. I think we're going to try to get a TV, contract for it.
That's awesome that she's still pursuing, or at least thinking about making something new from here on. Yeah. I was going to ask actually, because I saw that she has 2 other directing credits, 2 other films. Are her other films also this kind of disjointed?
I've only watched one of her short films, and it was nothing like...
Right. Yeah. 'Cause I'd be very curious to see what her more linear films play out like.
Yeah. I do wonder... I think these newer films that she's working on, I've seen some trailers, and they look fucking crazy.
Oh, the trailers... Well. She's already filmed things.
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome.
Yeah. But I feel like I'm really excited to see that abandoned... Places TV show.
Oh yeah. Oh, Bug House sounds great.
Yeah, that sounds good too. Yeah. So definitely keep an eye out for her upcoming films and TV shows and books. So you can find her on Facebook. So if you look up Tina Krause, you can add her on there. And Bug House, that film that she mentioned, is also on Facebook. And you could also follow her on Instagram, I think it is. So
okay.
Yeah. Instagram is SpaceMonkey7777.
Of course it is, yeah.
And so you can check out those places to follow those projects.
Sweet. You said Bug House is on Facebook. Is that like
the there's like a page?
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, I'll have to follow that. Keep tracks on.
So I think I think it was that one that there's a trailer for.
Sick.
Yeah.
Oh, looking forward to that. Yeah.
But yeah. So let's get to our final thoughts of the film and the wrongometer and all that. So, should we kick into the wrongometer? I guess so, right? Or have you got any final thoughts on the film before we get to that?
What I will say is, first and foremost, I don't watch these kinds of films often. In fact, I very much steer clear of them. And for the most part, reason being is that you get a lot of these kind of like disjointed, like arty films that never really have something to say. And you'll get someone who kind of will film something abstract and they'll try and kind of make it look a bit artsy-fartsy and just try to bullshit their way into having this art experimental film. And a lot of the time it does reek of bullshit, which is why I've more often than not steered clear of them. However, this film was really, really not that case, and is probably one of the very few times I've really enjoyed one of these highly disjointed experimental films. Like I said before, when you get people who don't have a clear vision and just film whatever abstract nonsense they can think of, you can tell that they don't have anything to say. But in this case, she clearly had a very, very clear vision of what she wanted to show and the story that she wanted to tell. And I feel like she really achieved a lot and put in so much work to this. You can tell by what they filmed and the editing process, what I mentioned earlier. This clearly took so much time and thought behind it to make. So I really enjoyed this. And one of the other things I really enjoyed was the whole atmosphere throughout this film. Like, it kind of almost felt very Twin Peaksy. It was very dreamlike, and especially like using the music in there as well. It kind of had that dreamlike atmosphere that flowed throughout it, which I really liked. And the use of color filters throughout, which maybe conveyed emotions. I don't know what I saw. Can't really explain what I saw. But I was watching, I was like, she clearly has a lot to say, and I feel like at least she knows the story that she's making, or that she has told.
Yeah.
For me, the viewer, it was a difficult one to follow, but like we both said, it's the one that the more you watch it, the more you gain from it.
Definitely, yeah.
So yeah, I really, I don't know if I can say I enjoyed this, but I really appreciated it. And I thought it was a great film.
Yeah, I think you've really hit the nail on the head there. So like she knew what she wanted to say. And she has something to say, and you're totally right. There's so many films that have fuck all to say, and they're just doing something visually for the sake of it. But speaking to her, I could see that she knew exactly what she wanted, and it's a very personal film as well. So then we have to get onto the wrongometer, which is a bit of a tough one. So the wrongometer is how wrong the film is, how fucked it is, how much it shouldn't exist, how disturbing it is. I actually am really I really don't know what to give this one. So it's not how good the film is. Let's make that clear.
Yeah,
I would give it a 10 if it was how good it is. But I think on the wrongometer, there's nothing too wrong about this. It's a very strange and disturbing at times.
But I think within the universe that the film has created, everything is appropriate.
Exactly. It kind of makes sense. So I'm not going to go high. I'm going to say 3, just because there's like a few moments that are... You know what? No, I'm going to go a bit higher. I'm going to go 4 because I was thinking about that guts getting ripped scene and how disturbing that particular part is. Yeah. How about for you?
I'm going to go for a 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought a lot of it was quite grotesque. I loved all the cadavers twitching and screaming and stuff.
And all the shaking and like... actually, you know what? I'll say 5 too.
Oh, now you're just copying me, Dave. Yeah. I mean, it's part of the film, so you can't say this is a contribution to the wrong rating, but just the disjointedness of everything. And although it wasn't planned, the way that the actors change from one scene to the other. It was very, very disjointed, very difficult to follow. And like I said, the way you explained this, you made it sound a lot clearer and easier to follow than it actually was. But I give it a 5. Give it a 5.
But yeah,
great movie though.
Love this film so much. So definitely,
I'm so glad it's only 50 minutes as well. Oh my god, if this was longer, I would have an aneurysm.
Yeah, it's good at the length it is for sure. So, what is happening next time?
You know what? I was on the fence of what to do, and I was thinking like I should do an English-speaking film because I think the last 2 I've done maybe have been non-English speaking films, but I'm not going to do another English. No, but I really want to talk about another Japanese film, and I want to get this off my chest early on because I've been waiting to talk about it, and that is Death Powder.
Oh, nice. Death Powder. I've been wanting to see it for ages.
Oh, and it'll give me another excuse to watch it.
Excellent. Oh, that's exciting. Oh, good. I'm glad you chose that one.
So am I.
We'll do that next time. So, as always, please follow us at SMSW Podcast on Twitter. And you can also send us an email at showmesomethingwrong@gmail.com. And please leave us a review.
Just do it. Dave deserves one after this, all the effort he put in for this episode.
Yeah, this is going to be a long one, isn't it?
Yeah. Go on, leave him a review.
Yeah.
And thank you very much, Tina. Thank you, Tina Krause.
So much,
Jesus.
Tina.
It was great hearing all of her stories about this.
She is such a delight. And if you want more of Tina telling stories, watch The Mail Order Murder.
I want to see her drown in quicksand now.
You'll be able to see it in that documentary, I think. There'll be some clips of that.
Awesome.
Let's watch her drowning in quicksand.
Yeah.
Let's watch it right now. We'll put it on your TV.
Looked like she was smuggling midgets across the border.